RFK is now the HHS secretary. What are two alarming things that he brought attention to that we need to talk about? That, to be honest with you, because of the shortage, because of this issue, it literally will stop America in its tracks. We need to discuss that today. We're going to talk about that. And also the fact of the $22 billion that HHS has wasted and squandered. It's kind of like every other government agency, isn't it? Also, we're going to talk about something that DeSantis and Elon Musk both said about taxes. And it is the best news I've ever heard. It may make me want to move to Florida. But it needs to be something that we need to embrace as a nation. Also, we're going to discuss the fact that now we have more banks, more big countries investing in Bitcoin. How much control do you have if everybody and their mama is wanting to invest in it that's not the decentralized normal folks? How can a parallel society be parallel when everything about it is just like the big system? We're going to discuss what I think we should be doing with our money instead of putting it in Bitcoin. And then lastly, we're going to talk about a new development in Texas. Something that I think you need to keep an eye on, because what may happen here in conservative Texas could be signs of what could happen all over America. Now, we say we have freedom, but how far is that slippery slope when there's people that are aggressively working against Americans? Something to think about. Let's dive into these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and let us know what you think about the video. Comment below. Your comments do great things because it helps us get stronger and wiser together and maybe bring something out that we didn't see before. So please comment below, tell us what your thoughts are on the video. Now let's jump into these stories. First, let's talk about what DeSantis and Elon Musk just stated. Elon Musk came out and stated that he wanted to see no property tax. It should be abolished. Instead of renting our lands, instead of renting our homes, instead of renting our ableness to live in this area, we should own it. And the government should not have rights to it. Now, DeSantis actually came out and said the same thing. Said, yes, it is a state issue. However, he said it's not for really us as the state level to decide. He said it really comes back down to the cities and counties. He said, however, I'm a proponent of no property tax. I did a video, remember, just a few weeks ago about property tax, and it just infuriates me. So I want to tell you my situation, and the reason I want to talk about it is because this is how serious and how stupid this is. We've seen the waste in government. We see the fact that our billions and millions and trillions is spent not on the right things. We see that, and we're going to talk about that even in this video. But for instance, my property that ties to my business, my farm, we're not talking about this big monster property. But because the government annexed a piece of it, it made my property tax go up tremendously. I'm paying like $35,000 a year just in property tax. Now that is truly highway robbery. Why? They do not pick up my garbage. I have to pay for garbage pickup. I have wells. I have 3 wells on this property. Also, I have to do our own septic tanks and things like that. It's not city sewer. We have no lighting or no fire extinguishers. Now, it took me 10 years just to get one single light on the highway where you turn off to get to my driveway. Now, does that mean that I needed that? No. But it's sad that for 10 years I've been paying $35,000 a year. So that's $350,000 for my kids not to go to school in their school systems, to not even have anything but they give me one singular light and I'm supposed to thank them for it. So that light cost me what? A few $100,000? Now help me make sense of that. And so what I think Elon and DeSantis are bringing up, and I think you're starting to hear that even with Trump with the fact of abolishing income tax, is what we're seeing is frivolous spending by our governments. Like for instance, our local government, they wanted to build a new football field for our county school. My kids don't even go to school. They're homeschooled. And why is my tax dollars being spent on a football stadium? Do you get what I'm saying? Now, the national level, state level, and local level has spent your money, and they should not have rights to spend money. You shouldn't have to pay property tax, especially if you've bought and paid for your land. Why is it fair that we have to rent it each and every day, each and every year? It's unfair. So basically, you never own it. The government always does. That is dangerous. And I'm glad that someone's bringing attention to it. Now, is this going to be like the term limit thing where everybody says, oh, yes, we need no term limits, and then nobody votes for it? Possibly. But I do like the fact that they're bringing it to attention, especially someone like Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who is cutting a lot of frivolous spending in the government. Also saying, look, why don't we just get rid of it? It's amazing how much money our government takes in and how much money they waste to still have potholes in our streets and to have new schools going up while we have a failing school system and we're putting new buildings to fail more. Does it make sense to you? No. So I love the fact that we're hearing conversations of property tax needs to be abolished. Income tax, property tax, estate tax, and we're going to get into that in just a second, and inheritance tax, all those kind of taxes. There's like 40 or 50 different kind of taxes that we pay as Americans. Bottom line is, we need one flat tax, one consumer tax, and that's it. If the government can't make on it, the government does not need to overspend, and they need to retract the government. Start fixing it instead of trying to spend all my money to do it. Again, as I told you yesterday, it's amazing how we're struggling to pay for eggs, but if we don't pay that property tax every year and it keeps going up, and they keep saying it's for roads and bridges, which is a bunch of bull malarkey, what actually happens is they're wasting our tax dollars and you're just renting your land. So to hear DeSantis say this, it makes me want to move to Florida. But what it actually means is more conservative governors should take this and embrace it. So you know what? If we can't make it without robbing people each and every year, we shouldn't be able to make it. That's why the trust of politicians from local to national is less than 10%. People trust their politicians less than 10%. Why is it that we still keep electing these people to make more regulations on us to basically take our money and actually use it for the wrong things? Mind-blowing. Before we go to this next story, because I want you to pay attention to this next story coming up. It's huge. Before we do, though, a word from today's sponsor. Have you ever Googled yourself and literally your family members and information of yours came up? The question always comes to mind is how much of my public information is actually on the World Wide Web, on the internet where people could just access it. Not only that, think about all the spam calls you get, all the spam emails you get. I get several a day and have to block and block and block. That's where my friends at Aura, the sponsor of today's video, can help. Aura will help remove your personal information from data brokers and people searching sites to sell your information from and to identity thieves and scammers and more. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security number, your house number, your phone number. And not only do they check it and monitor it, they will alert you if all of a sudden they find that your information has been compromised. Also, Aura VPN. VPN protects you on the internet, and this was with military-grade protection when it comes to Aura's VPN. It blocks all scam and phishing sites from getting your information in your accounts. What about an antivirus? What about a password manager? 24/7 US-based support. I get all this in one app called Aura. I do not want to leave myself vulnerable. We talk about it all the time. We live in a digitized world. The last thing I want to do is protect my home and not protect myself online. Check out aura.com/themax today. You will not be sorry that you did. My information is mine. My social is my social. My address is mine. The last thing I want is someone else to have it. You can go to my link below, aura.com/themax, and get 2 weeks free. That will be enough for you to see how Aura is an asset to you, because you're going to realize how much you're exposed online. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable. Check out Aura today. Link is in the description. Thank you so much, Aura, for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's talk about Texas, and then we're going to move into what RFK said and also some Bitcoin information. Texas just came out, and there's this new person who is building a subdivision, building a new compound basically for people to live in. You're like, well, Colby, people build stuff like that all the time. That's great. You talk about co-ops. I do. I think that we should learn to grow in community centers and make it where everybody can help each other, kind of like the Amish do. Here's the problem. I want you to listen to this. It says, there's an Islamic developer in Texas making Sharia-compliant Islamic communities, announcing the launch of Epic Ranches, a housing opportunity open to anyone who wants to live here, even open to, listen to this, non-Americans as well. This ambitious project is like no other. We will build entire communities from scratch. You're like, oh, that sounds great. Here's the part. Including Islamic schools and colleges that teach Islamic ways. The whole community is going to be based in Islam. Now, for a religion that hates us, and also for the fact that they're teaching Sharia law, which actually demeans children and women, and actually allows them to literally kill in the name of legalization of hate, of their religion. Do we honestly believe this is free and we should be allowing this to happen? Now, this is not an Amish village. This is not giving freedom to people. This is saying they're allowing non-citizens to live in a commune that will be based in hatred towards Americans. Now, let's just make sure we understand that. They're wanting to teach Islamic ways, really is against America, Sharia law, which is against our law, and they're wanting to do it in a compound closed up. Do you believe we're making almost like sleeper cells here? And non-Americans are welcome to live there? This is dangerous. Now, here's why it's dangerous. It's a slippery slope, I know, because we want freedom and deregulation. However, what actually is the point where we realize this could be dangerous for us? Now, this is happening in conservative Texas. What's to say it's not going to come to other areas? Are we going to allow, one Islamic big community center that teaches Sharia law in each town, in each state? And if we do, and they're preaching against America, is this really what we want in our neck of the woods? It's something to think about. As a conservative Christian, it worries me. As someone who loves freedom, it worries me because I believe we need freedom. However, too much libertarianism and too much freedom without having laws to obey safety of everyone could be dangerous. What say you? I want to know your opinion on this. Is it freedom to do this, or is it dangerous because basically what we're doing is we're building people to live here that hate America? I think it's the latter. But let me know your thoughts on that. I thought this story was just kind of opening, and really, even in a conservative place like Texas, things like this happen. So it really comes down to, who are you living next to, and the dangers of it. Could be kind of creepy. Now let's move on to the Bitcoin and then straight to RFK and what RFK said. Bitcoin, decentralized parallel society. Remember, that's what they were told. They told everybody, "Oh, this is crypto, and it's going to be decentralized, wide open for you to be safe and your money kept safe." The more we allow big players who are the ones that we pushed against for so long. So we built this parallel society to try to stay away from the global push and the centralized money. So therefore, when the centralized money players and the banks and the countries get involved in Bitcoin, are we really doing what we task out to do? Not we as in me, but as libertarians and conservatives and freedom-minded oriented people. So BlackRock, I told you, started investing in it. Barclays just came out. Bank of Montreal, third biggest bank in Canada, all investing hundreds of millions of dollars into Ethereum, into ETFs with ties to crypto, and then Bitcoin. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, everybody's like, "Oh, Colby, your money is safe on Bitcoin. It's parallel." How is it parallel? How are you actually in control of it if you can't tangibly hold it? Cold wallet storages don't make any sense because you can't actually tangibly hold your money and use it without it coming out of the wallet, which needs energy. And here's the thing. It seems like Bitcoin's going to go up and skyrocket because everybody's investing in it. The people that's investing in it is the same people that you were trying to get away from in the central bank ties and the global push. So it's kind of funny that now, and it's really oxymoronic, that we're allowing ourselves to get tied up into crypto when the biggest buyers in crypto are the people that's in the centralized banks. It's unbelievable that we believe that that's going to all of a sudden change. Here's another thing. You know how they could tank it? Everybody's like, "Oh, they're not over Bitcoin. No one's over Bitcoin." If you take 2 or 3 largest banks and they all own billions of dollars worth of crypto, what if all of a sudden they just dropped it on the market at a discounted price? It would destroy the crypto market. It would destroy the leveraged, uninsured crypto market. What would happen at that point? It would crash. How much money do you have on crypto? You can't tangibly hold it, so you don't have it. It's not gold. So you're allowing these people to buy into the system. What if all of a sudden their goal is just to shut it down? All they got to do is literally sell everything they own at a discounted price because they're multi-billion-dollar companies and they can, to destroy it. So when you hear Barclays and Bank of Montreal and BlackRock and Goldman Sachs and all these bigger banks buying into crypto, instead of saying, "Wow, it's going to make it go up. We're so excited that everybody's buying into the parallel society," if everybody's buying in, it's not really the parallel decentralized society that you once thought it was. Pay attention to that story, because really when it comes down to it, you know what's decentralized? Cash. You know what's decentralized? Tangible assets. You know what's decentralized? Land. You know what's decentralized? Food. I mean, it may be even leasing land. It may not be buying land. It may be leasing land to then grow food on. I mean, there's so many benefits to a different kind of parallel decentralized societies, even down to cash, compared to crypto. Pay attention to that story. I think the more people that invest in it, it's actually worse for what we consider the liberty and freedoms of a parallel society. Now let's talk about RFK and some of the dangers that we're facing, truly, that could shutter America. All right, HHS. First, let's talk about the fact that they just came out with a new report, Doge did, and also the Trump administration, saying that HHS squandered more than $22 billion on migrants, on vehicles, on home loans, on startups. Now, tell me how in the world our Health and Human Services allowed for business startups, personal home loans, personal cars, and migrant money. This is why I push against taxes in generality, because when you waste that kind of money, it blows my mind. It shows the true fraud. Did you know there was a new report that said in Washington, D.C., since Trump has been elected, the search for lawyers, fraud lawyers, and criminal defense lawyers has skyrocketed because it is a town full of demons and theft, thievery, and stealing. And I love the fact that they're getting exposed. Did you know that also politicians and the bureaucracy is considered under 10% of support? That people actually trust their politicians. Under 10%, somewhere like 6 or 8%. Why do we allow these people to run our lives and charge us taxes and to take our money when we have $22 billion that HHS has squandered? Remember, EPA was $20 billion yesterday, FEMA $80 billion yesterday, the Biden administration $925 billion of improper funds, and now Musk is already up to $97 billion through Doge. That's over $1 trillion worth of spending right there, and they're taking your money and your property tax and all this other frivolous tax while you can't hardly buy a loaf of bread. They're squandering $22 billion just in HHS. Now this is where it comes to RFK. RFK is now the leader of HHS. He said he's going to get a hold of it. Two things that he needs to work on. And this is the biggest push. And this is because there is a major shortage of something that we're missing out on. The farmer. Listen to this. Two alarming truths. And this was an article that was actually published as RFK is kind of saying what he wants, but also from Zero Hedge. It says, the family farm is vanishing. Local food is vanishing. And the fact that we are centralizing our food sources more than ever. The beef industry, there's 4 big players in the beef industry. Chicken industry, 4 big players in the chicken industry. 15 companies owns 98% of the food that is manufactured in America. 15 companies. You don't believe that we need to decentralize that and have a parallel society to that? The farmer. Listen to these numbers. Family farms are disappearing. Over 141,000 farms were lost from 2017 to 2022. It says just over 1 million are left in the U.S. today. Now, when people say, well, there's a lot of farms left. 1 million farms, 335 million people. And those 1 million farms are supposed to feed 335, plus we export a lot of food. So that's less than 1% of food providers in America is the farm. And because the dwindling farmer, and because the fact that people are getting out of it, there's more big players getting into it and more big ag. RFK has came out and he said, this is his quote, I love this. It says, when Donald Trump gets me into the USDA, we're going to give farmers the off-ramp from the current system that destroys our soil, makes our people sick, and harms our family farm. You know, part of that is taxes, inheritance tax and estate tax. Sometimes people have to sell their whole family farm to pay for the tax that the government is taking when someone dies, their patriarch dies. Unbelievable. You know, the fact that we can't even have regenerative farming anymore because we have to have all these practices with all this modification, and all these big farms are embracing it. The crazy thing is, the more that the little guy can't afford to keep paying the taxes and regulation, that means they have to sell. That means the farmer gets out and big ag buys in. We have to pay attention to this. I want you to listen to this other startling thing. Health crises are rising. Since 1980, which has been the dwindling of the family farm, 42% of people are now considered obese, and type 2 diabetes have quadrupled since 1980. Broken food system. Beef industry, 85% of the beef industry is owned by the 4 corporations, which I said that, and also with chickens. So for the local farmer who now can't afford the beef because of the price of it, big ag can. This is the same 6-cycle carousel that we've seen. Bad growing, cheaper food, bad quality food makes for more people to be hooked on medicine because they're unhealthy, because of the trash they're putting in their body, to ultimately be a revolving circle where you're sick, unhealthy, putting trash food in your diet, and not actually getting wholesome things from the farmer. And then we just keep that revolving circle going. What did I tell you? If we saw doctors that actually preach the healthy things like, hey, exercise, diet, have a better quality of life, ground yourself, get outside, grow your own food, or buy from someone who grows food in a holistic way, we wouldn't need the medicines that we're on. We wouldn't need the unhealthiness. We wouldn't see the fall of the farmer because they would be supported by their community. Now, I live in a small town, and we have 2 farmers markets a week, 2. Meaning people can go and buy crops from them, people can go and buy beef from them, people can go and buy breads from them. It's a very neat thing. But we're talking, we're a small town, and we do that. So I know bigger towns are doing farmers markets. I know bigger towns are doing some kind of market gardens or CSA, community supported agriculture. I know there's farms that are doing calf shares and cow shares and beef shares. I know there's farms that are selling milk and selling butter and selling creams. I know there's farms that are selling different crops. But if you're not supporting them, then no wonder they're falling by the wayside and not able to make it. And what we're doing is we are nailing our own casket together. And we're literally causing more harm to ourselves, because if we have to rely on just the grocery store and processed garbage food and big ag, who could care less about truthfully your food system? Because remember, big ag, most of big ag is owned by big med and big pharma. It's unbelievable why we don't see the tie-in to FDA and USDA and how both of them are tied to Food and Drug Administration, because the food is so bad that the Drug Administration, they're double dipping in the same pockets of Americans. The family farm is our lifeblood for America. Without the family farmer and the farms, we will not make it. And RFK is saying, look, if we really want America to be healthy again, we better figure out how to deregulate our food system and allow you to buy food from your neighbor down the street. You know, if it's the Amish village, or if it's just the random farmer who has some cow and he's able to share it with you. I talked to a butcher this week, and he said, you know, people can't afford the meat. People can't afford the butcher. People can't afford any of it because the cost of goods is going up. So what they do is they go and they buy it from cheaper economical source. He said, but what they don't realize is the quality of that food is actually causing them more health problems. I love what Joel Salatin once said. He said, you can pay for food now and get good quality and take responsibility for your health and be healthier through your life, or you can buy bad food right now and have no quality of life as it gets closer to the end, because you're going to be on so much medicine because of all your unhealthy choices with food. If we really want to make America healthy again, it comes down to the farmer. I can grow my food. I have onions sitting here, potatoes, eggs, pears, jellies. We have, you're sitting by 7 freezers literally in one room. We have herbal gardens right here, kitchen garden. You saw all the dehydrated and freeze-dried herbs that we have to make our own medicine. But I'm not selling to you. It's just I grow enough for my family. We may have a little bit here and there extra. There's 350 million people in America, and there's only 1% of people growing food on farms. That means that's 99% of people that are relying on the 1%. Let that sink in for a second. So if the dwindling farm keeps happening, the dwindling food keeps happening. And big ag and big business takes over, and you're going to be buying more processed garbage to put in your diet, which will make you more unhealthy. Look from the 60s, 70s, and 80s when the food system started changing and people started leaving the farm. From the 50s, really. You start seeing health problems. You start seeing more people with medical dependency. You start seeing people not growing their own food. And that's sad. RFK brought up a big point. He said, without the family farm and deregulated food system, what we're actually seeing is a falter in America. If we really want America great again, it's going to take people understanding the value of true, good food and keeping healthy. My challenge is for you, start growing some food. Start buying from a local farmer and start supporting the farm. Because without the farm, your dependency is going to be on 4 major businesses that provide your beef, 4 major businesses that provide your chicken, and less than 15 big businesses that provide all your food. Not only that, those same 15 are tied to the medical institutions. So while they're tied to food, they're also tied to pharma. And that is a big deal. I think that's why everybody's been so scared of RFK, including a lot of these senators and a lot of these bureaucrats, because they see that he can actually expose something way bigger than just the money, the danger of our food system. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this video. That's why I try to preach. Please buy some food and put it up. Please grow some food, grow some seeds. Share with a farmer next to you. Build an agricultural center and community co-op together and start doing something to change the way we look at growing food and having food. Be responsible and start doing some of this. Guys, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this video. God bless.